Welcome to Grit, the Real Estate Growth Mindset podcast, hosted by Brian Charlesworth, founder of Sisu. Sisu provides growth automation software for real estate. You'll hear stories from real estate thought and technology leaders, team owners, and brokers on how they grew their business in a rapidly changing industry. You'll learn how to transform your brokerage and teams into a high-performing and analytics-driven business so you have a new, durable, competitive advantage against disruption in your market. So let's get right into it.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Grit Podcast. I'm Brian Charlesworth, the founder of Sisu and your host of the show. And today I'm here with a returning guest, JD Reese. JD Reese out of St. George, or Southern Utah, we'll say. Is the market hotter in Ivins or Southern or St. George, or where's the hot spot down there, JD?
I would say you're probably Ivins. I mean, Ivins definitely has the highest sell ratio and cost per square foot in St. George, which is funny because if you told me 10, 15 years ago that you lived in Ivins, I would have been like, ew, gross. Ivins, that's ghetto. But now it's one of the bougiest towns and highest selling places you can be in Southern Utah. So also the new Black Desert resorts there, the new golf course. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, right across the street from our rental property.
Yeah, it's killer. I went to the PGA last year and got to watch that. And man, that is just such a cool thing that they've done. I never thought in a million years St. George would see anything like that. I mean, I feel like all the developers that are coming to St. George just keep doing things that I'm like, nah, that couldn't happen. And now we have a lagoon out in the desert with a whole vacation community and just all these really, really neat things happening in St. George. It's growing so fast here. So it's been cool to see.
Yeah, that is cool. So the market down there, I'm noticing across the country, listings are sitting, highest inventory in 8 years in a lot of areas.
Yeah, same here.
Or longer. Is it that way down there?
Yeah, things are sitting just a lot longer. The thing is, sales are actually up, but listing is just way up, which is crazy. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of smart buyers out there just looking for a deal and they're just shopping so many different things. So, for us, like we have like a 95%, 96%, I think last time I checked, list to sell ratio. That means 4% of our total listing inventory either hasn't sold or went canceled or expired, like it's currently active. And for us, I think the secret sauce to getting a property sold is we're just telling our sellers you have to be the best offering and the best house in the neighborhood. You know, if you have competition in that neighborhood, you got to be the best offering, meaning price, features, et cetera, and the best house, just the best choice. Because if you're competing against 30 other homes similar to yours in that range, like if you're not, you're just not going to get the views or foot in the door. And really the trick is to get people in the house.
So in other words, you need to have the nicest house in the neighborhood and you need to be priced the lowest.
Exactly.
And then you're basically insured to sell the home. Otherwise, there's a bunch of options and it's likely not going to be
Yeah.
enough to get them excited.
Yeah, if your home's been on market over 45 days here, like you're likely going to get an offer low. You're likely going to have to start doing price reductions. It's not like you're going to be able to stay at your list price for 45 days and then not make something happen. So we're really, really, really just trying to educate our sellers. Like we have to be priced aggressively. We have to be competitive. If your neighbors drop, we got to drop. And it's not a waiting game. Like you could wait forever. It's a who can get a better price more effectively, quickly. So when we go to market, like for example, I just listed a property on Skywalker Lane, which is a really cool, that's like one of the coolest spots you can be at. We made a really cool video of like a Star Wars tribute to
I
this
saw that.
listing. We were under contract in like 18 days on that one, which for us is 3 days prior to when we start having talks about price reductions. And to get that one accepted, the sellers got a low offer, like 80 to 100K below asking. And they immediately were like so offended. They were like, no, we can't take this offer. This is just way too low. I'm offended. And I was like, I don't blame you guys. Like there's a lot of emotion that goes into selling a house and everything that you guys have put into it. However, we need to counter, right? Even if it's 5K off of our price, we need to counter. We need to do something, which is exactly what we did. You know, we ended up countering like right near our ask price, and then we threw in some furniture. and they came back and asked for all the furniture. My clients came back and said, okay, but only if you take a little less on the buyer's agent commission. Funny enough, and boom, we were under contract. So like, there's still opportunity to get near your ask price, but just know that buyers are looking for a deal, right? And
Hmm.
they're going to
Yeah.
be if they even remotely sense weakness, they're going to jump in on that and try to throw a low offer at you. And right now, it's just navigating that. I think we currently as a team we have almost 60 listings. More than half of those are under contract right now, but I would say 100% of them, except maybe the rare five or six, have had some type of offer below asking. And
Okay. So with that, you say on your team there's that many listings. How many agents are on your team?
we have 13 agents, 15 including myself and my director of operations.
And
And then
you're still in production,
I'm
correct?
still in production. We actually have 16 technically, but the 16th guy, he's our brand manager. He does all of our in-house filming and photography and everything. He takes a couple of deals here and there, but for the most part, we have all of our marketing team in-house.
Cool. Okay. All right. So I saw a post from a mortgage guy yesterday, and as I was telling you before we jumped on the recording, I'm now a mortgage guy in a sense because we
Yeah.
have Simply Mortgage for team owners like yourself to do JVs. But this post he did really caught my attention. He showed a video that said it was from the 25th, so that was 3 days ago. And he was videoing an open house. And the open house had, geez, must have had over 100 people go through it while while he was showing it. It was just packed. And he basically said that it was because interest rates just dropped a little bit recently. And he projects that interest rates are going to drop substantially before too long. I know Trump's been working on that. No, not everyone likes that. Not everyone believes that after 3 years.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
But what he actually predicted was that in the near future, we're going to have 10 offers on every home again. Now, anyone in real estate is like, wait a minute, homes are sitting longer. It's a buyer's market. How could it change that way? But let me ask you this. If interest rates were to go down to 5% today, what would you see the market being like?
I'd have multiple offer situations on almost all of my listings. Even at like high fives, I think I would probably start seeing multiple offer situations again. I mean, I'm still seeing them on stuff that I'm like, for example, if I sell in a vacation area like Duck Creek, Bryan Head, I always tell my sellers, let's price significantly below asking, like below where we comped it, because it is better in those areas to price that way and then drive a multiple offer situation, basically drive the offers back up. It's not effective everywhere. And it really is only effective if your offering is really cool, like it's a really nice house or like there's something unique about it. But if rates were to do that, I think we would be even in high fives, like let's call it 5.5 to 5.9. I think we would be in multiple offer situations, which is kind of a tricky situation if you think about it, because if you're the lending companies, right, you don't really want to have that happen too quickly because that's going to force a ton of refinances where you're making this great interest on all these current loans. And then on top of that, like you don't want it to happen too quickly or else it's going to cause chaos in the market too. So I'm sure there's lending companies out there that are like, okay, yes, this might be an opportunity where rates dip, but we need to dip them very slowly because if all of a sudden overnight interest rates are 5.5, it's going to be chaos. It'll be tricky.
Fingers crossed, right? Fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
I mean, we're ready for it. The funny thing is, like, I've been telling my agents, like the ones that have been with me for like the last 3 years that have really like figured out this market. Like, I got a kid on my team named Seth. He's 26 years old. He'll sell 30 homes this year. He's making 250, $300,000 a year as a 26-year-old kid with like no responsibilities, like trying to figure out where to put his money. And I've been telling him for the last 3 or 4 years, like, dude, rates come down, it's going to be crazy. Like our team is built in a way that we're going to be able to manage this and be so much further ahead than the average agent that like, yeah, we'll sell 250 homes this year. Like if it happened next year, we'd probably sell double. Like it's going to be
But
crazy.
you guys are picking up market share in a declining market. Anybody that's doing that,
Yeah.
and I watch our Sisu customers, so many of our Sisu customers are picking up market share in a declining market, which you are one of them. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's sad to see agents and lenders and people leave leave the industry. But in the same breath, I'm like, all right, that's just less competition, less worrying, having to worry about someone's cousin beating us out for a deal. Like, and when you know how to navigate it and you can show clients, we literally print out our sell ratios and we take them to the listing appointments and we go, look, we sell pretty much everything we list because our clients listen to us. And this is how we do it. And we go over our whole process. And it's not just list the home, put it on the MLS. There's a whole campaign that we build for every house. We generate leads for every single house. We have a team calling every single lead that comes in for every single house. We have remarketing campaigns. Like I'm not just posting a video of our listing on Instagram. Like I'm using that and creating ads to drive traffic back to our website to get people to do more business. And not only just for their house, but for our team, and our team converts all of our online leads at a over 2% ratio, which for industry standard is pretty great for Facebook and PPC leads. It's not as high as a conversion ratio for like a Zillow, like we were talking about previously off camera, but it is definitely fairly high. So we take advantage of that to compete in a very niche type market for the way we generate business, if that makes sense.
okay, so you just brought up something. I'm glad you brought it up. You're talking about lead conversion. So you've been a Sisu customer for a long time. We just rolled out a new product called Battr. Battr is all about the number of at bats you're giving your agents.
Yeah.
And the cool thing I love about it is that it allows you to set standards for your lead follow up. And this is what I believe has been the differentiator for Zillow Flex is that they make their people follow up or they're going to take you off. You have to have certain results or they're going to take you off. And
Yeah.
you're not going to be a flex team anymore. So what happens? The team leaders, the ops leaders all focus more with the agents. They make the agents do it. They follow up with the agents every week. And this is going to basically be a leads manager just like that to manage the rest of your leads. So you just talked about PPC and
We use
SEO,
Facebook and PPC.
Facebook and PPC leads.
Yeah.
So you've been on Batter for a while, JD.
Yeah.
It's obviously a brand new product, but tell me what that's done and how that allows you to manage your agents more effectively.
So obviously every team should have like a process, right? When the new lead comes in, how the life of that lead gets converted. And it's easy to like go click each lead and see, but then you generate like I generate 30 leads in a day, 500 leads a month. It's impossible for me to be like, okay, is every single one of these leads being worked correctly? So what Batter's been doing for us is to get really granular and see the life of that lead. The thing that's been the most valuable and the most eye-opening though is how many at bats individual agents are taking. And when we say at bats, like how many leads are they putting in their name? So when we generate a lead, all those leads get dumped into a pond,
Hmm.
right? And we can see like the first 5 or 6 stages of Batter that say like, okay, did this lead get hit like 6 times when it first got created? Because that's our initial tap is a 6 tap, right? And then did it get hit, 25 times over the course of 10 days, which is like email, text, call, whatever. And then after that gets put into an agent's name, then it gets put through their lists. And it's like, did it hit, if it's a hot, is it weekly? If it's cold, is it getting biweekly? Or sorry, warm, is it biweekly? Is it cold every 45 days? And it's hard to see all that like from the top down view, but Batter really lets you like just peek at it and be like, oh, okay, we can see this. We can see where it dropped off, which has been awesome. So then that way we can give a list of those leads to our client or to our agents and be like, hey, these dropped off. Why? What happened here? So this has turned into a monthly meeting for us to really get super granular on our agents one-on-ones and see, okay, how many leads are you taking for one? We've had agents be like, oh, I'm so slow, or I'm not, I don't feel like I'm doing a lot. And it's like, well, dude, you've taken 15 leads in the last 2 months. Of course you feel like so. You're not converting anything into your name. Your database is too small. So that's been a huge eye opener for us. And then, if they've had a conversation with these leads, but they haven't set appointments, or they've had multiple conversations and they haven't set appointments with these, we can be like, hey, you talked to this person. You obviously connected, what is holding us back on that next step, which is the appointment. And so for us, it's that list of being able to get them to set those appointments. It's a huge part of our business now. And now with the alerts, like sending out alerts when things are past due,
And
um,
nudges.
it's going to save Nathan on my team, our director of operations. That's his job. It's going to save him a ton of time, which means he's going to be able to place his value in other spots like coaching and being a bit more present in those areas rather than dedicating his Friday mornings to audits, which I still think we're going to do. We'll still have some audits there, but for the most part, this will be a really cool system to keep our agents super accountable. And if they don't, then we'll just sweep it from their account back into a pond and we'll let somebody else work. And that's a little bit more dedicated on getting those leads.
I've seen personally a bunch of teams. I can think of a few in particular who have actually had full-time people in that role. Some of them have a full-time VA, some of them have a true leads manager, they call it. One of the things you said at first, JD, is you don't have time to go in. You could click in the CRM and one at a time, but how long would that actually take you if like that's the way you managed it?
It would take you forever. And we've built it within Follow Up Boss. We have actually have like we call them proprietary, but anyone can go build these lists of audit lists, to go look at these leads individually that haven't been worked correctly or something's missing. This basically takes away like 90% of those audit lists for us.
Yeah.
There's some very specific ones like how fast did the agent respond to a text type audit, but for the most part, like this is going to replace that. And it's so quick. And the fact that you get an automatic email of your out of compliance for each list that sends to a shared email between Nathan and myself is really cool because then we can peek at that and be like, whoa, dog, you have so many leads out of compliance. Fix this or else you got to give them to somebody else. Or if they're crazy out of compliant on a lot of lists, our agents, when we list homes, we use one phone number that rings to agents that are on sign calls. And to be on a sign call through a team, you have to be within, our KPIs have to be met to be on that list, which for us is cleared smart lists, and your calls have to be over X amount for the week to be on that sign call list. And we get, 6 to 10 of those a day. And those actually convert high. Those are like a 10% conversion. So agents want to answer those sign calls, right?
Oh yeah, sign calls are great. So you talked about the standards that you have. You have certain standards for following up the first week, certain standards for following up. Well, and you base it off of if they're hot leads, warm leads, or cold leads,
Right.
1 week, 2 weeks, or every 45 days, right? So
Right.
the cool thing I love about this is every team runs their team differently. And all we have to do is figure out with you the way you want it run. And
Yeah.
it'll do the work for you, right? It'll take the leads it'll sweep the leads from the agents who aren't following up. It'll give you the notifications. It'll nudge the agents, let them know it's time they better work their leads or they're not going to have the leads. And so anyway, it's really fun to see because what I've noticed in this market, and JD, you tell me if this is true where you're at, but what I've noticed, and I think based on what you told me beforehand, you said you have a team down there spending over $80,000 a month on leads. What
Yeah.
I
Not my team.
no, but what I found is team leaders are willing to spend money on leads and willing to spend more money on leads and willing to spend more money on leads. But most of them don't realize if you just make a little shift and hold the agents accountable the way that you should as a team leader, that to get higher conversion, to make sure they are actually calling the leads, it's more important that they call the leads that you have, right? Than that you give them more leads. Why give somebody more leads who's not calling the leads you have? So I actually did a webinar the other day, and Matt, who was on our launch webinar, said,
If you've been enjoying Grit, please help us continue to grow the channel by leaving a 5-star review and sharing it with a friend. Now back to Grit.
instead of thinking your agent should call more leads, it's not about calling more leads, it's about calling less leads more. And
Yeah, I would.
that stuck with me.
That's huge. I mean, that's why I spoke at Wailopo like a year ago or maybe a year and a half ago at one of their events, and we went over our process, like our lead flow process. That's all they asked me to do. They gave me like 30 minutes to talk about just how we convert leads. and why our conversion's so well. And it's just because we call the crap out of the lead, like to a point where they don't stop until we're told stop, like even if they say stop, I train my agents to call and apologize and be like, hey, we'll definitely stop. But while we have you, just tell me about your plan so we can kind of, adjust our notes on our end. It is about how much you're calling. But for us, it's not just about how much, it's about what you're saying, right? We coach on a few things. It's called Socratic selling. And Socratic selling is asking the right question with the right person at the right time. And time is a big part of that. That if there's a luck factor, it's about timing when you have that
Mhm.
conversation, right? And you can almost create your own luck there. You can ask questions like, what is the best time for you to communicate with me? How do you prefer to communicate? Is it text, email, calling? What do you prefer as a client? But the right question at the right time with the right person is a huge part about what we coach. And it's all open-ended. My agents don't read off of a script. I've never put a script in front of my agents. We role play 3 to 4 times a week about how to have more effective and meaningful conversations where we can actually show people on the other side of the phone and in person, empathy. We really listen to what they need. We listen to where they're at in their journey. We try to identify that journey and then help bring value. I call it ammunition with my agents. Like, what kind of ammunition can you bring to the conversation? And maybe that's not the best word, but like, what are you providing? Let's say they want new construction. What builders do you know? In their price range. Let's say they have a house to sell, but it's in a weird spot. What do you know about that area? What statistics can you give them? Maybe they need contractors to fix a flip. What contractors do you know? Have you given them our contractor list? Like, is that an effective way to move the conversation forward and provide value? So, yes, I would say the amount of times we're following up with the lead is very important because if we don't do that, we don't get the opportunity. But once we have that opportunity, a brand new agent coming in our team is going to convert a lead. And I say convert, that's from a conversation to an appointment. And conversations for us are 2 minutes. Their conversion ratio is like 2 to 3% as a brand new agent on our team. Like every 100 conversations, they'll maybe set 2 appointments. So they churn a ton of conversations, right?
Yeah.
But once we have them fully onboarded and trained within 60 to 90 days, that conversion goes from 7 to 10%,
How
which
do
is
you know that?
Sisu.
What does Sisu do to tell you that? Because
um,
team leaders couldn't tell me either of those two items you just shared.
Sisu
JD.
literally gives you that analytic. It literally, you can go look at an agent's analytic. They're 1 month in of conversations to appointments set. And as a brand new agent, it's generally always between 2 and 3%. That's usually what we can expect.
And is that any extra work for you? I know you said you have follow-up boss, so your agents are all just working out a follow-up boss and you have that data real time, just like you have the lead follow-up data real time with Battr, right?
Yeah, it's real time. It's right there. It's a click away, and we can see it. And when we have our one-on-ones, we pull up our Sisu dashboard, which shows their conversion. We actually pull up 3 months of dashboard just to see, and then we compare and contrast those between each other, and we can just see that right away. If they've really taken to the training, if they've really done role play, we can see that initial conversion. Our trick too is we get that conversion up really quickly. And then once they actually start meeting people to sign, that's the next ratio that we have to start training on. That's a hard one because at that point, if they're meeting people but they're not signing any contracts, that's in-person training. And really the only way that we can train that is like either having them go on appointments with us as, the professionals we are, and or going and shadowing their appointments, like going to more listing appointments, et cetera, as a duo. That's a harder metric to fix, but we see that one too as like an opportunity for us to increase our conversion.
Yeah, I talked to somebody who said they changed their business by $3 million a year in GCI
Wow.
by finding a shift in that. So imagine being a team owner that doesn't have that kind of data, and all you're going to see is that you have these agents that aren't producing. You're probably going to be like, I don't even want that agent anymore.
Yeah.
But you probably have a lot of agents who are going on a lot of appointments. I mean, if an agent's going on 3 appointments a week, that's a really good agent. Now
Yeah.
you just
Especially
need
if
to
they're
teach them how
unique.
to ask for the business, right?
Right.
Teach them
It's
how to show up and ask the right questions and bring value, right?
Yeah, it's going from like a servicing hat to a sales hat, like
Yeah.
where you need to be able to gently guide that person into that decision by offering the confidence or the knowledge or advice that they're looking for that makes them feel comfortable to do that next step. Because it's a big step for a lot of people. There's a large part of that too that's harder to train, especially in person. Like I've always said, a set in person, it's like 7% of what you're saying actually matters. It's more about like how your tone is and how you're presenting yourself. I think it's like 7% of what you're saying matters, 38% is your tone, and I think the other 55% is your body language
Hmm.
and how you carry yourself. And that's really hard to train. And we try to do live role plays, not just phone call role plays, but actual like live knocking role plays or live listing appointment role plays, because that's just another feature or another thing about sales is just it's hard to train. It's hard to get somebody on that page. It's a something they just learn with time, by seeing it or being around it. Or there's a part of sales and real estate where you can only give them so much. You've given them all the tools to do it. Now they just have to go put it in place and see if they can make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's fun to see your growth. I know you plan on adding another 10 agents or so before the end of the year. So if
That's
there's
the
anything I
goal.
can do to help you with that, let me know. But what's your plans on that? How are you going to add those agents? What do you do to recruit, uh,
Yeah.
onboard
Um,
agents?
we have an onboarding platform that I built, and it's a 2 week platform. And then there's 1 month of like tasks that are due within that month for them to stay on the team.
Tasks for the agents?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first week is a lot of like hands on. Second week is more hands off, but they have a list of things that they should be doing, training, etc. And then during that 1 month, there's a few books that they're required to read in the first month, and then some things that they have to be doing. Like their first month with us, they need to do 4 open houses. They have to be on the Mojo dialer at least once a day, 5 days a week. There's just things that we just really want them to do a ton. Like it's almost like boot camp for their business, like right
Yeah.
up the start. And then once they've accomplished that, then they can move on and they get assigned a mentor on our team. And we have 2 mentors right now that get a portion of their first few deals and hold them accountable, which has been a big boon for us because as you know, it's not easy chasing, 15 agents down and trying to hold each individual accountable. So the mentor stepping in has been a huge part of our business and growth. But as far as the recruitment side goes, Genuine's never done any outbound recruiting ever. We let our social media presence and our name and word of mouth kind of drive our business and have. And with that, because of St. George is a smaller market, I think it's a bit more effective here than in other places for that.
Yeah.
But because of that, I mean, I interview probably twice a week just out of people reaching out. I haven't even imagined what outbound recruitment would look like consistently for Genuine. And I don't know if that is even like on the horizon for us yet. Maybe eventually, but like we kind of have this hyper local mindset for St. George. There was a part of me back in the day that I was like, I'm just going to get as big as I possibly can and recruit as many agents. And then the market shifted, and I was like, I think I just want a bunch of killers, people that are just really, really good at what they do. I like to be around them. They're great people. They fit the Genuine brand. And so we've been focusing on that. And so we are really picky about who's joining our team. They go through a multiple day interview process. They go through a multiple day shadow process. And then once we feel like they're the fit, then we hire them and we onboard them. And so far, since the birth of Genuine, we're going into year 5. I've only ever had 2 agents leave my team. So
Wow, that's impressive.
yeah, it's been
Wow,
cool.
that's
One
great.
of
So,
one of them went and started a team with her husband. The other one got a job for DR Horton, and he couldn't pass it up. It was a great opportunity for him. So other than that, I haven't had anybody leave my team. It's been really cool.
that says a lot about Genuine. So again, you guys, JD's team is Genuine Real Estate Group. You can see it if you're watching. You can see that in his hat. But one of the words he used is when they go out on appointments, empathy. And you talked about ammunition. When you talked about that, I was thinking instead of you were using the word ammunition, it's really genuine, which is your name, right?
Yeah, it's true.
About being
I mean,
genuine.
it is. It's about being yourself. We are who we are. When
Yeah.
I was in my real estate career early, I kind of lost myself in a sense. I've been doing this 10 years, and I would say the first 4 and a half, I literally just was JD, the real estate agent. And yeah, I was good at what I was doing, but I lost a portion of myself. There's so much more to me to be able to connect with people and things that I can share. So genuine is about being like a true version of yourself, like down to your roots, things that you love, like being authentic, right? I guess is another word for genuine, but being the best version too. Like I almost think of our company as like a mindset or like coaching company in addition to real estate sales. Like we have a lot of young people that come join our team that want to do this full time that we're motivating not only on the real estate sales side, but just life, just trying to let them think bigger and learn more and be a better version of themselves and try to tell them like you don't have to change who you are. You can just add to it and be that version of yourself that's truly authentic and genuine. So that's kind of the culture that we've built around, and I think that's why people stay.
Yeah, those are impressive numbers. So before we wrap up, one thing I wanted to hit on, JD, is one of your talents, I think, is landing builder accounts.
Yeah,
And you just landed one actually in northern Utah. So
it's been good.
how does that work? Like maybe if you're willing, maybe you could share with our listeners just, why you focus on that and how you go about it, because it's definitely a way to have a strong business and it's also a way to keep agents around, right? So
Yeah, builder accounts are great, especially if you have builders that are doing business and actively staying healthy. And when I mean healthy, they're moving product. For us, the Northern Utah stuff in the pipeline, we'll keep you updated on that. I'm excited. Genuine's never been in Northern Utah, but we're going to be in the Springville area now, so that'll be kind of cool.
congratulations.
Um, but as far as like landing the builder accounts, for us, it's simple. Builders want to see results, right? You can go to them and show them how you're going to do things, whether it's your lead gen or how you're going to market, and you can show them an actual game plan. That's going to be a rare thing to them because a lot of builders are familiar with just having like a builder agent that sits in their model home and waits for business to come to them. But if you have a powerhouse team that is effective at lead conversion, not only just on the actual lead side, like we generate leads for all of our builders, but on the agent production side, meaning using agents as a lead conversion tool where we're consistently calling agents and we can show them how we're doing that, it's pretty much a shoe in for us because if they're even open to the idea of trying out another agent, we're going to outwork them, we're going to outmarket them, and we're just going to create an environment for that builder that they've never had before.
And my experience when I was in real estate for 18 months before I had this weird idea to start this company named Sisu.
Mhm.
But my experience was if I had a buyer, I primarily sold to listings, but if I had a buyer or my listing wanted to buy a home, I would always take the builder route first because I could go in and not have a competitive offer.
True.
You go in, they have the inventory, you get the inventory, right? So
Right.
it's just the easier way for me, especially in a competitive market. But
Yeah. It's also, there's another part of this too that I feel like people are afraid to be honest with their clients. A lot of agents are afraid to be just deadly honest with them. If they have a pricing issue or an image issue or something like that's obvious that you can see, just be straight up. Just tell them straight up, hey, this is your price is wrong or the way you're presenting your business is wrong. Let me show you how I would do it and let's just have a conversation. Now, obviously, you're not going to be like, you suck, you're wrong, but you are going to go after them and you're going to say, look, this is what we need to improve. Here's the game plan. This is what we're going to need to do to make it happen. And if you're honest with them, you show them a game plan and you do it effectively and fast. They want results quick. Most builders want things done fast, especially on their subcontractor side. Then you'll have a big shot at taking over those accounts.
yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
JD, it's been really fun to have you as a customer. We're grateful to have you now as not only
Thanks.
a Sisu customer, but a Battr customer.
Yeah.
And, one last story I want to share because it was a lot of fun for me when I was down at our investment property down in St. George, or in
Yeah.
Ivans, I should say. You
Right.
came to visit us, play a little pickleball, and thank you for that. And you showed up in your 997 911.
Yes,
And
sir.
that was fun for me too. I got to walk across the street and see it because you all know how passionate I am about Porsches. So big Porsche enthusiast. Loved seeing it, loved hearing it drive away.
Yeah.
But tell me what's on the horizon for you as far as Porsche goes.
I think my next purchase is going to be I want a 993 Targa.
993 Targa.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
I stumbled or 967, but I think I want a 993 because I stumbled across this guy who has one on Instagram, and he makes these videos of him just like getting it ready in the morning to go drive and like taking the top off, and then he's like ripping through canyons. And in my head, I'm like, man, what is such a classic. He just turns the radio on, and I'm like, that sounds like so nice. I don't even need to go fast. I just that sounds like something I'd want to do. So I think that, and then I do still want a GT3. That's on the list. I just don't know which one I want more now.
Yeah, it's a
So
hard decision. Uh,
yeah,
I just got my first air cooled, the 993,
yeah,
but mine is a Sunburst, which is a Japanese racing street car out of Japan,
so
wide
sick.
body. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. It's amazing, but it's true. Like I went on a drive yesterday and I was with a group of people and I was like, okay, I know this group drives fast. I need to take my GT4S. I'm not going to go do that with this 993, but I haven't really pushed the 993 hard enough to know yet how it does it that, but I can tell
Yeah.
you this. When you're going 70 or 80 in it, it actually feels pretty fast. Whereas in my
Hey,
car, it feels like I'm stopped, right?
yeah, yeah. The new cars hold their speeds like they don't even feel like you're going quick. Like that was especially true in the RS6 that I had tuned and everything done to it. Like I'd be going 140, and I was like, oh, it doesn't even feel like 140. It
Right.
just holds its weight so well. So I don't know. There is something to be said about that classic feeling, and I feel like I've always wanted a 993. In my heart, I see it, and then I see the price of it, and I'm like, I don't know if it's worth it. But now I'm been slowly getting a little
Cool.
bit more inclined to. And I never wanted a Targa until like a month and a half ago, until I started following this guy. I was like, dang, a Targa sounds
Well, you'll
so
have to send me the
nice.
link so I can follow the same guy.
Yeah.
And I could talk Porsche with you all day. But last thing, do you have any advice you want to leave with our listeners for any topic?
Yeah, I guess the one advice I would imagine there's a lot of real estate professionals listening,
Yes.
hoping to get a little bit of insight. The one advice that I've just rang true to me my whole 10 years I've been doing this is no matter what, even if you're on vacation or if you are taking a day off or whatever it is, if you can just work on your business 1%, just a little bit, a little something, move that needle forward just a little ways every single day, it's going to compound over the course of your career. And then one day you're going to look back and you're like, wow, 1% every day, I've just been chipping away at this mountain, and you're going to have to dig a hole right through it. So don't give up. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So
That's great advice. One thing that I recognized when I was selling was every time I went out of town, just happened to be when I would go under contract with everybody.
yeah, it's a
You
real
have
thing.
to you have to block that time off to go under contract. And maybe the reason you're going under contract when you're out of town is because your headspace is in the right space, so you can actually do that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, it's all about the energy you put out
Yeah.
in the world. Like if you feel a little bit more light and a little bit airy, like things tend to happen a little easier and you get
Hmm.
space to breathe. So it's true. I mean, and when I go out of town, I always try to take a little bit of time each day just to, even if it's in the morning or at night. I tend to be a night owl, so it's usually at night for me, but I take a little bit of time to just make sure things are where they need to be. And I do it in a way that's light and communicated with my wife that I'm doing it. Everybody's on the same page. So it works out really well.
Yeah.
1%. That's all you got to do. 1% every day.
JD, thank you for that advice. Thank you for joining me again on the show. And again, it's really cool to see you run a business where you have no turnover with your agents. So,
Yeah, it's been
I
cool.
mean, that says a lot about you and your team and the way you run your business. And again, we're grateful to have you as a customer. For those of you listening, go on, give this a like. We want to get more top team leaders, more top leaders from the industry to really, really bring you guys value as I ramp this podcast back up. I actually have not been doing consistent podcasts on a weekly basis just because my travel schedule has been a little crazy lately, but we are back on that page now. And so, JD, thanks for joining us on the show, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you all in next week's episode. Have a great week, everyone.
That was fun.
Thank you for joining us on our podcast. If you have an interest in a free 7-day trial of Sisu, go to sisu.co, sisu.co. Make sure that you use the coupon code GRIT, that's GRIT, to waive all your setup fees and receive a 10% discount on your subscription. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast and want to subscribe, search GRIT, the Real Estate Growth Mindset, on iTunes, Spotify, or Podbean. And with that, we'll catch you next time. Take care.